Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope everybody had an awesome Christmas and an awesome New Year. We are kicking the new year off with this channel on our with an album review, our very first album review of the year, and it is one that was previously announced. Of course, we're going to be talking about Steve Vai's Gash, and that is actually so there's kind of a story about this guy. There he is on the back. So apparently this, and this album came out, I think, 2023? This guy, Gash, I can't remember his name, his real name or whatever, but they call him Gash, and he's the guy featured on the cover on here. And, I guess he was, a buddy of Steve's that they would go ride, motorcycles to and everything. He would go ride motorcycles with. And, you know, he was kind of a daredevil type guy and everything, and that's why this guy on here is scarred up and everything. And I guess they ended up recording some sessions. Vi found out, he sang some songs, and it was a pretty good singer. And as we'll see, he is really damn good on here. So they laid down some tracks back in the '90s and early mid '90s, and I guess all these years later, Steve decided to release them. So that's what this album is here. And pretty much this album really is a lot like just kind of a biker blues rock, kind of solid just rock album. And Steve has described it as being like something that he and Gash and their gang that they would ride around with would like to listen to while they're riding their Harleys around. So with that kind of preface being set here, let's jump into this thing with In the Wind, which I remember this being the first single off this thing, and I was like, oh wow, who's this singer? Then I kind of read it more into the backstory and everything, and because the guy's got a damn good voice. It's almost like he's got a little bit of a rasp to it, but he's still able to hit some good high notes and everything. Kind of reminds me of Graham Bonnet in a way. Nowhere near as good as Graham Bonnet, but they do have a similar sound and tone in their voice. And this track is just, kind of a biker blues, rock and roll track with In the Wind. And it's just a fun track. Not really any crazy shredding or anything, or, anything too funky that, we kind of are used to seeing Vi with his really eclectic playing style and things like that. Not really, that's not really what this album's about, as we kind of see off this first track here. But In the Wind, I would say, is one of the best ones off here right off the bat. Then we go with Busted, and this is a cool one. I love the hammer-ons that Steve Vai's doing on here, but that leads for, a really cool riff going on here. And again, some more solid vocal work from Gash on here, which, you really just, you get surprised by it. It's like, this guy really could have been, they could have made another album together, which I forgot to mention, this Gash guy, again, he was kind of a daredevil. He tragically passed away, I believe, in some motorcycle accident or something. Which is why, I guess that's why Vi never really wanted to revisit this and, for all those years, and didn't want to release these tracks because it kind of made him sad and everything. But, I'm glad he, ended up coming around and doing this, because, now fans everywhere get to enjoy this guy, Gash's voice, and of course with Steve's playing on there. But anyways, yeah, this Busted song is really good. I really like the hammer-ons on this one during the riff, and it's got a cool, fun chorus going on. Then we got Let's Jam. And I would say this one's maybe one of my least favorites on here, but it's good. It kind of reminds me of almost like a 80s, kind of little 80s rock with its, upbeat kind of party-like feel to it. But it is a good song, no doubt about it. It's just one of my least favorites off here. Really, that's kind of the thing for that. There's only 8 tracks. It's not a very long album, with all these tracks really not being very long either, but that's still some solid material. And even though Let's Jam, again, being one of my least favorites, is still a solid track on here. Then we go with Woman Fever. This one's got kind of a little bit of a bluesy feel to it. Really dig this one. There actually, is some solo stuff going on in here that's pretty cool. Because, it is Steve Vai, right? And you can't have an album with Steve without, there's this signature sound you're going to hear in some of the little quirks and things he does on guitar that are just his signatures, and you hear some of that during the solo on this one here. So Woman Fever, very cool. And then this track number 5 here is probably my favorite off here. Very, very hooky track. We're talking about She Saved My Life Tonight. And this one is just awesome, man. I really, really enjoy this one. Probably the hookiest chorus on here. You got some nice background vocals going on from Steve Vai on here. And, you know, as we know in his discography and everything, he's damn good at singing himself. Um, but yeah, this one, I love the riff on this one and just kind of the upbeat nature of it. And the chorus, again, is just really, really hooky and a really fun track. And I remember this one being my favorite track the first time I ever heard this, because this is actually only maybe the second or third time I've ever listened to this album. Um, then we go with Danger Zone, which is, you know, I forgot how, this is one of those where I forgot how good it was, and it's one of my favorites off here now. Really, really solid track that's, again, got a hooky chorus to it, and just a fun, fun rock track. No way around it, you know, it's nothing too fancy, just a straight up solid rock track with a hooky chorus and some fun guitar work. And just, again, another one with an upbeat nature that really, I forgot just how much I liked this particular track on here. One of the best, for sure. Maybe my second or third favorite off here. Then we go with New Generation, track number 7, and I'd say this one is my least favorite off here. It's a little corny, you know, a little kind of anthemic or whatever. I get that. It's not a terrible song, but it's not. It's definitely my least favorite off here. Like, you know, I said Let's Jam was up to this point, but New Generation for me kind of takes the cake as being my least favorite. Kind of repetitive a little bit, and I get what they're trying to do with this one, but just not my favorite track off here at all. Then we close it out with Flowers of Fire, and this is a good one. You kind of get it starts off like acoustic and everything, and you kind of hear some of that, which Vai does really well, acoustic stuff. You know, if you listen to his discography, anytime he kind of tackles the softer side of things and or acoustic style of things, he still keeps his signature sound on those acoustic guitars. And you know, you hear Gash, his voice, he can sing really kind of in a pretty manner as well, not just these kind of hard rocking tracks here. And you know, it does pick up and kind of become more of a rocker going on, but it's a very good track. Flowers on Fire is probably up in like my top, probably my third or fourth favorite off here. So a very good song. So with that being said, guys, again, kind of a short album here. Not too much to really dive into and dissect here with this, but it's just a solid rock album that's got, you know, some blues to it, and just a very fun listen, no doubt about it, which I guess that's what, again, Steve was going for, wanting to have something to jam out to while him and his buddies were riding their Harleys around, and just to be able to have a good time and jam to. And I'd say I never drove a Harley or rode one, but I'd say that I could definitely see where that would this would be a good album. Just kind of even just go driving around a car in and just feel good, you know. But yeah, this solid stuff. If you've not checked it out, if you're a Steve Vai fan, check it out. You know, even if you're not a Steve Vai fan and you're not really a big fan of kind of his other work, this is quite a bit different from his other work, with, again, being more focused on just kind of a straight up rock band going on. So definitely check this one out. And next time we will be actually including this within the rankings. I'm going to do a re-rank, like I do whenever normally new releases come out for an artist, such as, you know, what we're going to do with Megadeth when their album comes out at the end of the month. We're going to do a re-rank with that album included. We're going to do a re-rank of Steve Vai with this album included in the mix. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be pretty fun, and I'm going to kind of ponder on where exactly I want to put this thing. So stay tuned for that, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, thanks so much